Hello and welcome to Eramis Soccer, the CONCACAF Gold Cup 2023 series covering the Trinidad and Tobago campaign. And special guest, former Trinidad international, also former Arsenal and Middlesbrough player, Justin Hoyte. I know I left a few teams off there, but I'm a Middlesbrough fan, Justin, so they always get in. How are you tonight, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. I'm a bit sad you missed out, Sunderland.
Really?
Them kind of teams there, Millwall. Well, I'm sad you missed out them two major teams there. But no, I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Um, Supporting Trinidad, obviously. Had the opportunity to play for them, which was great. Uh, but no, it's good to see them back in the Gold Cup. Good to see some of the players that I played with at the time still in the squad, still doing well in the club level, and it's great to see. And it's also good to see they got the victory. I'd obviously like to have been there, been part of it still. But it was a crazy journey when I first got the call up for Trinidad. But it was good to be part of it. I think it's a great tournament. It's a great tournament, so it's good. I'm good. How are you?
Do you have any? I'm great, mate. So, do you have any favorite memories from your playing days with Trinidad before we get into the current group?
I just wish I went earlier. I just wish I went earlier. It was a real eye opener. Not only do you play against like world class players, the best players obviously in the country, the club level, you get to travel and see the world. You get to see another side of the world, another part of the cultures, different backgrounds. You play against different opponents, and people say it's probably easier going national team. I actually say it's harder going to the national team. A lot goes behind closed doors that people don't know. It is really, really tough, but at the same time, it's really enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed my time with Trinidad, and I would say my proudest moment, and probably getting to the Gold Cup. I would say being in the squad because I remember me and Andre Boucard at the time. We was sitting there in the room thinking, are we going to go to the Gold Cup? Is the manager going to pick us? We don't even know if we're going to go, because we was in the squad now and then we got in every call up, and we wasn't even sure if we was going to go to the call up. But when we did get that final Gold Cup call up, it was amazing. It was great, and what a better place to play in the Gold Cup than the US. And I would say for me, it was playing against Haiti in Miami. One place where I wanted to be, one place where I wanted to live. And it's funny that the hotel we stayed in is actually around the corner from where I used to live. So it's crazy that how things work out and pan out. And I always said to Andre when I was there that this is where I need to be, this is where I need to live, and this is where I need to be on a regular basis, being in Miami, being in Trinidad, being part of that culture. So no, it was great. The players took to us after a while, but it took a little while. It took a bit of, let's just say it took a bit of convincing to get the players on our side and get their players on our side. That's it.
So, when you say it's harder to go national team, Justin, compared to club soccer, what is the hardest thing about national team soccer?
I would say it's the bonding side of it, because you see the club level, you're with each other every single day. International, you're only together maybe 2 weeks. You got to put into that consideration. You got to put travel. You get together. You can only train a certain length of time. And I would say what's the difficult side of it is when you go to some places and things aren't how you expect them to be at a national team level. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you could do a whole separate podcast on this, but I'm always impressed with Gareth Southgate with England.
Yeah.
And one of the things I liked about his approach to the job is he wasn't studying Pep and he wasn't studying Klopp. He was studying the Australian Rugby League team.
Mm-hmm.
He was studying national teams that went to tournaments, because it's a very different dynamic, isn't it? Like, A, you don't have time to settle in. B, you have almost immediate preparation. And C, you spend a lot of time together, confined together in a very tight area. And I think managing a tournament campaign is very different to a club environment where people go home every day to unwind.
Yeah, I would say, if we base it on tournament football, it is a different experience. I would say why it's a different experience. Like you say, it's like being in a bubble. If you say lockdown players was in a bubble, it's like being in that. You got total focus, you got total mindset on doing a job. You're together every single day. And I would say the only downtime you really get is when you go to sleep, or your downtime is rest and recovery in your hotel room. Yes, you can walk about a little bit, but then if you walk around too much, you're going to be tired for training or, the game. So majority of the time, you just have to, I feel this is where you build a good international squad and team and players bond together better in tournament football, just because you get that time together. And literally, because you're going to be together for 2 weeks, you find, games, cards, computer games, whatever, not to get that banter, to get that togetherness. And I would say the best teams that do well in tournaments, I would say, have that.
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought in tournament football that, like you said, you bond together, but if you don't, I feel like the spotlight and attention, and the results are much more dramatic.
100%.
I remember the France team; they just didn't even show up for training.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that just happens in that intensely emotional tournament environment, and I think building a team is an awful than building a team across a 9-month campaign. I don't know if one's better or worse, but it's definitely a separate skill to me.
Yeah, I guess it's hard for coaches as well, because I guess you've got a short length of time to get the players you want, the togetherness, and also is to pick your best 11. With club football, you basically know that, if this player doesn't do it this game, next week he's got another chance. In tournament football, it's like, right, we need to win from the go. So I guess in that sense, for coaches, it's hard. And for players, it's like, I want to play in that first game. I want to play in the second game. I want to play in the third game. You want to play in every game, no matter if you're the last person picked in the squad or whatever number you are, you still want to play. You want to feel that togetherness. You want to be part of a team. And I would say why it's different to cup football is because you're representing your country, you're representing your nation. You've got all eyes on you. And I would say what is also a good spot for players. Not only is it togetherness like in a bubble, and I guess managers and coaches are judging you how you act like that, but it's also puts you in a spotlight. Maybe some players are looking to move. Some players may be looking to, I don't know, shine and show what they're capable of doing at international level on a bigger stage. And I always thought, and, talking to Andre when we was in the room together, is that, maybe our time in England is coming to an end. If we do well in the Gold Cup, hopefully someone in America would take us. That was our whole goal and ambition. That was it. That's where we wanted to be, and that's where we wanted to play. Unfortunately, it didn't happen until later on. But, that was our mindset. If we do well here, there's going to be scouts from all over. And now, on a global stage, you look at the CONCACAF Gold Cup, you look at the teams, you look at the players, there's going to be scouts from worldwide looking at these players now. So it's another huge opportunity for, I would say, these smaller nations and some players that aren't heard of to make a name for themselves and to make a career out of it.
Yeah. So we're on to game one here, and we'll talk about him later, but based on this game, I think there's already one young Trinidad player who'd get a move off this tournament if he keeps his levels up. But we're going into a game against Kitson St. Nevis, who have qualified for the first time ever. So that in itself is an interesting thing, right? Because I think the biggest challenge for their coach is going to be avoiding the almost happy to be there kind of dynamic. I know I coached at college, and me and the team snapped a 9-year playoff drought. And to get into the playoffs, we played really well on the road to a rival. Great performance, scored a winner in injury time. But then the playoff game itself was one of the worst games I ever coached. So, I always look back to the preparation is, were we so happy to have achieved the landmark of qualifying that we put ourselves at a disadvantage when we get there? What are your thoughts on that in terms of their approach to this tournament?
I would say for most teams, I would say in the CONCACAF region and the Caribbean nations and the people representing it, their main goal and objective is, okay, it's trying to get into a World Cup and get into the World Cup qualifiers and get into the Hex. Beside that is you have to get into the Gold Cup. That is the huge stage for you. That's what the country wants. That's what the players want. And we knew as Trinidad players, if you've done well in the World Cup, we wanted to do well in the Gold Cup. And it was like, right, our mindset is let's get to the Gold Cup and see anything can happen. It's a tournament football, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to go into a tournament and think, oh gosh, we don't belong here. But at the same time, it's the first time they've ever got there. So that's a huge achievement. And now they've got to build on that. Okay, the result against Trinidad might not work. Will they pull up a shock against the US or Jamaica? Probably not. But what they can build on is the fact that they was able to get there this year. So now they need to work on, right, can we do it again? And how do we improve from last year? Okay, we maybe lost every game, or we won one game, or we didn't score, whatever not. But you build on that. I feel Trinidad have done that over the years, and that's why they've pulled out some results. They've pulled out some great performances, and I feel they'll do well in this Gold Cup. But for a nation like St. Kitts, it's just great that they've actually got to a Gold Cup.
So I did some research, and sincere apologies. It's St. Kitts and Nevis, which I said wrong. And I reached out to Ezra Brown. Ezra played at Temple University in America, played some lower league in Germany, and currently plays for the Michigan Stars in the American third tier. He's also a U20 international for St. Kitts and Nevis. And when asked about his thoughts, Ezra said qualifying for the Gold Cup is a massive step forward for St. Kitts and Nevis. We're a small island, but a small island with lots of talent. So this qualification is testament to the decades of work put in by former and current players, staff, and leaders. The country is proud of the Sugar Boys and excited for the future of football in St. Kitts and Nevis. We will be a regular in these CONCACAF competitions. So it's a pretty big deal, right? You can hear the pride coming through in the achievement there. And as an obvious step I missed, if you can start turning this away from a novelty of qualifying to the norm and the regular, that's a genuine example of moving football forward in the nation. When asked for notable players, Romain Sawyers, Premier League experience, high caliber player and leader within the team, made the players' best 11s in the English second and third tier. Currently at Cardiff City. Jelani Archibald, captain, strong mindset, leader in goal, big game player. Taquani Williams, left-footed winger, tricky, pacey, growing in confidence, natural goal scorer that just needs the experience on the big stage. And Taekwon Terrell, hardworking 8 or 10, versatile midfielder with an engine that create and score goals from anywhere in the front five. So that from the inside was a scout. I think I'm seeing what he's seeing when I'm watching. The biggest chance I do remember was Sawyers digging out a cross on the left wing in the second half to Williams. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start from the start of this game. And within 5 minutes, this field's a disgrace. This is unbelievable. The water.
I think to myself, how has this game even gone on?
Yeah.
Okay, the ball's rolling a certain distance, but if you watch, I'd say the first 15, 20 minutes, you see the players trying to run with the ball. They can't run with the ball. Yeah. I remember training in a preseason game and preseason friendly, and it was downpouring like that. And we had to play, but you can't run with the ball. You literally had to, you couldn't even pass along the floor. You had to scoot the ball to the next player. And it's like, well, how is this even allowed in international football? Okay, the sun after a while did do its job, but to start this game, I don't know how that even went ahead, but credit to the players. I felt they adjusted to it well to the field, considering the conditions.
Yeah, 30 minutes in, the commentator said that they were avoiding the centre circle.
Yeah, no, the centre circle was terrible.
I think terrible. If you look, it was the wingers, Molino and Ovre doing most of the work for Trinidad, and maybe that's tactical on the scout, but maybe that's the field.
I think it was the field.
Standing water in the corners.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't play centrally. You couldn't. I remember seeing Molino trying to run with the ball in the center of the field and it just got stuck under his feet. You know, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the field. And normally he'd be able to get away from players and pick out nice passes or play 1-2s. He just wasn't able to in this game.
Yeah. So the first chance for me in the 15th minute, I thought Trinidad were the better team. But in the 15 minutes, I thought they switched off at the set play and Sterling James ends up getting open, getting a shot off. It just seemed a bit sloppy. And as the game went on, I was impressed with Trinidad. But this was sloppy. This was a blatant example. Free kick, set play. We switch off and we almost cost ourselves a goal and you go 1-0 down in game one. What impact does that have, right?
Yeah, when you go down to a team that, as a nation, you know you should beat. You feel like you've got the better players. You feel like you've got the better squad. And you going into the game confident. But like we've known and like we've seen in football and in soccer, you can concede a goal quickly, and it changes the whole dynamic of your tournament and the whole dynamic of the game. If that would have gone in, it would have changed. I feel like it would have changed everything.
Yeah.
But you know, fortunately for Trinidad, it didn't. But yeah, it was a sloppy moment to start off with.
And they settle into the game well. You know, there was a nice little bit of play in the 26th minute where Molino, he plays a 1-2.
He's so good, man.
With Telfer, he's excellent, isn't he? I do remember watching him. I think it was at Minnesota in the MLS. I recognized him instantly. He gets brought down on the edge of an area. Garcia takes the free kick, smashed a mile wide, but it's kind of a warning sign. And then in the 32nd minute, Molino's on the ball again. He's playing a 1-2 again, and he wasn't fouled. He just fell over because this feels a disaster. But I think Trinidad started to have the run of the play, and it seemed in control of the game. You know, we'll talk at the end. I thought the stats were a little more even from the game than sort of the feel of the game I got from watching it with the naked eye. What were your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I felt like Trinidad grew into the game. I think it took like a little while to settle in. I guess it was the field that played not to Trinidad's favor. I felt for the most part of the half, I felt St. Kitts done quite well. They defended quite well. They dealt with Levi quite well. They was close on Molino. So for Trinidad, they just kept probing and trying to create chances however possible. And it wasn't working until a great bit of play and ball by Hackshaw. You know, he had the space, he had the time, and I kind of felt like at that moment when the goal went in, St. Kitts looked like they was dropping deeper and deeper, trying to see out the half and trying to see out a 0-0 going into the half would have been great for them. And I felt like they dropped a little bit deep and probably got caught a little bit of ball watching.
Yeah, so what Justin's referring to there for the listener is the goal in the 43rd minute. And honestly, Justin, one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in my life is on this field. And by the way, you said they did well defensively. I'm reading now the XGs for the first half. 0.12 Trinidad, 0.11 St. Kitts. So not a lot going on in terms of goal scoring. But on this field, 21 uninterrupted passes before this goal. I went and counted. Yeah, there was no media coverage of that, but in a swamp where the ball's not rolling, they've put together a 21 pass move.
That's good, that.
And then Hackshaw has lifted a ball over the top. I think it's the right back, isn't it? Alvin Jones.
Yeah, Alvin, yeah. Jones
rides through, and it's a great goal, man. And it was almost a better goal than the game. You know, you kind of get into the rhythm of the game you're watching, and the game was okay. It wasn't a bad game, but the field had a significant impact on it. But I thought this goal was absolutely spectacular. And
I think it was a great ball by Hackshaw. I like the run from Alvin there. He's known to make them long surging runs. He's an attacking fullback, and you can see that. And what I like about him is his calm and collectiveness inside the box to touch it and finish. He got the blind side of the defender. I kind of feel that the defender let him go. I don't know if he wanted to try and play him offside or what he was thinking. But it was a great ball and great touch and great finish by Alvin.
Yeah, and on Hackshaw, you know, he's a He's a veteran of the American
He
game,
is.
right? I'm reading here he has 187 games in the USL Championship with Indy 11, Charleston Battery, and Oakland Roots. I've seen him play in a back three. I watched him play for Indy once against Hartford Athletic. I thought he was excellent. He plays in the number 6 shield in the back four. But I think he's a very powerful player. And I think we talk about tournaments. What Trinidad are about to face, I think he's a very important player because they have a back four. They have him screening the back four. And I feel like if he can do a good job making sure that runners don't go and shut down number 10s, I feel like Trinidad is set up maybe here to get a point against one of the big guns, Jamaica and USA, who personnel-wise, I think it's fair to say they're outmanned. But they do look strong defensively, and they do look set up to make it difficult for people. I don't sense they're going to get battered 3 and 4-0.
No, they don't. Like we said, Hackshaw's been around. He was even in the national team when I was there as a younger player, so he's learned. Been in the team for a long time now, and whenever he was in the squad or whenever he played, he done a great job defensively. Really good on the ball, really calm on the ball, and even playing against him in the USL, he could play in the back three or he's playing in the holding midfield player. Always a good player to play, having your team and to play against. He's horrible to play against. So it kind of showed in this game, like his range of passing was good, his short passing was good, and I feel like he can do a great job for the team when they come against the likes of Jamaica and the likes of the US. Obviously, I think he'll do a great job. Behind that, you've got Sheldon, who is really, really experienced centre back. Been around Europe for a long, long time now. Played in the national team for many, many years now. So I feel he's got that experience to help. And I feel like they've got the spine of the team, which is really, really, really strong, and which is what you need. They've got an experienced goalkeeper, you've got an experienced centre back, you've got an experienced holding midfield player, you've got Molino, the number 10, who's experienced. And even though Levi is a youngish 25, you say is still quite young as a striker, he's doing great things. He's been over in Europe, done great things in Europe, and he's got a lot of European clubs interested in him. So they've got a spine of the team, is which what they need. And they're looking good at the minute. The tough test will be against Jamaica.
So here's my question before we come back to this game. USA, Jamaica. Yeah. They've drew. Trinidad have came out the gate here with 3 points. The common belief was USA, Jamaica walk through here to the knockout rounds.
No, it wasn't. I always felt Trinidad would beat Jamaica. I know Jamaica have got the players, but I still feel like Trinidad have got that inner sense in them and that inner motivation and desire not to lose to Jamaica. And we've known that Trinidad have beat US before, so it's
very
not
famously.
Yeah, very famously. That I think that kind of changed the dynamics of the US national team, I think. But no, Trinidad have got I feel they'll beat Jamaica. When I looked at the group, I said, "Oh, that's a bit tough." Then I looked at Jamaica's squad and I looked at the US squad and I said, "No, it's going to be really, really tough." But if you look player for player, okay, Jamaica have got the Premier League experience, of course, but I feel like a lot of these Trinidad Tobago players have been together for a long time and they know each other inside out.
Yeah.
Sheldon, Kareem, Tristan, Alvin, Hackshaw, Molino's been in there, Telfa's been in there for a long time, Garcia's been in there. You still got Alvin Jones, you still got Jovan Jones on the bench, Marvin Phillips on the bench, Aubrey David still on the bench, Shannon Gomez. So I feel that their squad is good depth in squad. And I feel like for like, I wouldn't bet that Jamaica would beat them. I would say they could take a draw against Jamaica, which would probably see them through in the group.
See, I've definitely changed my outlook because coming in, I'm thinking Jamaica. We got Leon Bailey, Aston Villa. We got Mikel Antonio, West Ham.
Yeah.
Amari Gray. We got Amari Bell from Luton. We got Andre Blake in goal. Very strong. But then when I think of teams that defy logic and upset people, they have strong back fours. Trinidad a very strong back four. They play disciplined shape. Trinidad play discipline shape, and they tend to have a player that you can counter through who can beat defenders and sort of mess up the opposing game plan. And I'm Kaylee Ovre. I'm sorry if I've said the name wrong, but it's Ovre, the 19-year-old winger. I sense he might be a wild card here because he's excellent on the dribble, even playing on this field. I can only imagine what he looks like on a good field. He cuts inside, he creates man up, he beats people off the dribble. I mean, are we dealing with a breakout star here? Because you look at his resume, we got 4 games for Lille U19s on transfer market. We got 2 games for Lille B. We got Minnesota United 2 and Sporting Kansas City Academy listed, and only 4 caps. But I thought this was the best player on the field. What did you think?
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I think this is the first time I've actually seen him. When I was thinking, I've never seen this guy before. I was like wondering who is he, and I've never seen him before. But he did make an impact on me. He was a good player. I felt he made more of an impact than Ryan Telfer. I thought Ryan Telfer would make a bigger of an impact in this game than he actually did. But no, he was a bright spark, and I think teams like Jamaica and the US are going to have to look out for this young boy because he looked like he done really, really well. And what I was shocked about is that he got picked over Jovan Jones. Jovan Jones normally plays on the left or the right. So that's a huge statement there by the coach by putting him in and trusting him. And I felt like he repaid the coach and the team by showing what he can do.
Definitely. Thought he was excellent. Really enjoyed watching him. Feel like we're going to hear that name again, multiple times. Half time in this game, and it's really a massive goal. And the reason I say that is I think Trinidad have the upper hand. I think they're the favourites. I think St. Kitts have really did a good job sort of blocking up the game and keeping it even. And you're about to go into a half time and go another 20 minutes after half time and take them into deep water, and the tension and the anxiety of a close game comes in, and you're talking about getting a point or 3, right? But that 43rd minute goal 2 minutes before the break, I just feel like it's tough watching the flow of this game, short of sending more men forward and leaving yourself more vulnerable. I think you're already even at 1-0 looking for a tough road back here. That was my gut feeling watching this game. What did you think?
No, 100%, especially when you got the experience. I would say the experience of the Trinidad national team. They've got a lot of experience in their team. They know how to see games out. I would say they're more experienced in tournament football, European football, than the St. Kitts team are. So in that sense, I would say, yeah, it was definitely a kick in the teeth for St. Kitts to concede that goal. For Trinidad, it was a perfect time to score the goal. And yeah, it was always going to be an uphill task now for St. Kitts, because now do they have to come out and really attack to try and get back in the game? If they do, they leave spaces and they leave gaps in the midfield where Molino and some of the other players can operate and get joy. So yeah, it was really tough for St. Kitts, but for Trinidad, it was a perfect time to score the goal.
It's another reason I'm believing in Trinidad here, because if we get into a position against this team where they go up, even if it's USA or Jamaica, and you have to push on and you have to send fullbacks high looking for goals, they're dangerous on the way. Molino can beat you 1v1. Ovre can beat you 1v1. It's an interesting team. I have a feeling they might get out this group.
Yeah, and the thing is, we didn't even see the best of Molino, Telfer, I would say we didn't see the best of, and even Levi Garcia. We've not even seen the best of him. I remember watching him when he first broke onto the scene and they picked him, and the coach was like, watch this boy, watch him. And I was like, whew. I was like, nah, he is good. He's fast. He's dribbles. He can shoot, bow-footed. And yes, the pitch played a part. And I feel if the pitch wasn't like this, Trinidad probably would have won more. But I just feel we haven't seen the best of the team yet. And that was due to the field. And, like I say, they've still got strength and depth to come off the bench and do a good job for the team.
Fair enough. St. Kitts have a chance here, probably their biggest chance. Romain Sawyers puts a deep cross in. Williams at the back post. He heads wide. Half a second there, I thought it was going to be 1-1. That's probably their biggest threat I remember. We've then got a one-on-one in the 56th minute, which Alvin Jones turns away. So we've now scored the goal to put our team 1-0 up, and We've made a stop to keep it at 1-0. So he's had a big game. And then in the 59th minute, Trinidad go at the bench and a Johnny Fortune comes on with Shaw and scores a great goal. You know, and again, the possession, I went back and counted, it's 11 passes before Hackshaw sets up Fortune. He dribbles, beats a couple of guys, shifts it from one foot to the other, and it's a banger, isn't it? It's a great goal.
It was nice. There was nice footwork there. Nice goal. Nice finish. What I like about him, he's a player that's going at players. He's not a player that's scared to attack players. And what I like about him is that if you put him and Molino in the same team, that's danger. He looks like a player that's an impact player. Even if he doesn't start, he will cause a few problems for opponents, 100%. And it was great to see. I've not seen much of him, but I've heard that there's a lot of noise coming from the Atlanta side, and I think he's played a few games for the first team, which is great. But I hear there's a lot of noise coming out of Atlanta about this boy here now. And you know, how long is it before we really get to see what he can do on an MLS stage on a regular basis?
I'd be interested. You know, it's very rare that you see dribbling and beating people all the time, but right in the middle of the field.
Yeah, right in the middle of the field like that, on that surface as well.
Very rare. So that was interesting. We then have a goal disallowed. Cross comes in, Shaw scores, push in the back, foul. Think it's the right decision, but it doesn't take long for the third goal to come. We have Garcia wide, forces an own goal, and I mean, it's game over, right? 3-0, better team. I think it's pretty much a procession from there. I don't think for any stretch St. Kitts gave up, but I just think the better team wins on the day, and that third goal is the final nail in the coffin.
Once they scored the third goal, it's game over. It's game, set, match, really. It's just, you know, damage limitation. How many goals can Trinidad score? How many goals can St. Kitts not concede? And I would say with that Levi Garcia, he's just shown a little flash of what he can do. You know, you've seen him able to go 1v1, dribble, fast speed, good cross, and unlucky for the defender. He tried to put his leg out to block it, and it's gone in the back of the net. And I think as sad it is for St. Kitts and upsetting it is for them as a nation that, you know, you lose 3-0 and you concede your third goal like that. You know, Trinidad are now looking at it thinking, right, this is 3 points. Jamaica and the US have drawn 1-1. We get a good positive result in the next game. We're looking at potentially getting out of this group sooner than anyone expected. And then puts the pressure on the other two teams to say, right, what are you going to do? So for Trinidad, they're in a strong position, good result, good performance to start off the tournament. And what a way to start the tournament by getting 3 points. That's what you want, right? As a coach, you want 3 points to start the tournament.
3 goals, you know, I think there's a tension and anxiety that seeps in that probably carries all the way back to the hotels and the bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
You lose your first game. I think there is a coiled spring
there is
fear that Trinidad don't have to deal with now. They can go out, chests out, and fight against Jamaica and, like, you know, get a point. Driving seat, right? Leave Jamaica 100%. On 2.
100%. You get a good result against Jamaica. You don't lose against Jamaica, you get another point. You're on 4 points. You know, and that's huge going into the last game against the US. You know, US will probably beat St. Kitts, but then you're putting pressure on Jamaica to get a result, but it's still putting you in the driving seat really to go out and get a good result against the US, which you know, they've caused a shock before, so why can't they do it again? It would be a real huge shock if the US don't get out of this group and Jamaica and Trinidad end up getting out of it. That would be a huge shock for the whole Gold Cup.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, coming in, I thought it was USA Jamaica, and I'm just doing that reading the team sheets, but very much changed my opinion looking at this. I feel like there's a draw coming, and I feel like there's probably a tiebreaker coming in terms of who gets out of this group. I really do. So the stats are interesting because, you know, you can tell me what you think, and maybe you saw it differently than me, but I saw what I thought was a dominant 3-0 win.
Yeah, 100%.
The stats here, we've got XG for 0.73 for Trinidad, 0.84 for St. Kitts, 60% possession for Trinidad, no surprise, Shots 12-9, corners 8-8. I'm not suggesting I'm changing my opinion on who was the better team, but a lot closer than it felt watching live statistically. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, stats are stats. I'm more about getting the result. I'm more about getting the results. We can look at stats, but I'm more of the result kind of guy. You get points, you get the results. But if you look at the stats, it kind of showed that St. Kitts were in the game and did put up a good showing for a team that's just their first Gold Cup tournament. In the first game, stats wise, they done right. They done okay. You know,
well,
if you're the coach or players or staff of St. Kitts, you're looking at that thinking, you know what? Okay, we lost 3-0. Okay, we conceded 2, I would say, good goals. One was the OG. So we lost 2-0. But look at the stats wise, we performed well as a team. You have to agree with that. You have to say you performed well as a team. If you're Trinidad, you're looking at the stats thinking, okay, we won 3-0, but there's a lot we need to improve on.
Justin, your tone when you said stats are stats, do you believe somewhere in the world an analyst threw his laptop out of the window and won't listen to our podcast again?
No, of course, stats people always listen to our podcast. Of course they're going to listen. Stats are stats, mate. People always listen. I'm trying to learn about this XG and all stuff like this. This is a new thing to me, but no.
I don't have a full understanding of it, but the reason I like it is I don't believe possession's reflective. And the reason is I believe there's to defend that concede possession numbers. But my understanding is if you took the same shot 100 times, how often it would go in. So a shot
I understand that,
at the back post unmarked is not the same as a shot from 25 yards out because you can't break an opponent down. So I believe that's reflective. I believe lots of teams roll the ball around their back four in their own half and give up allegedly dominant possession numbers when
I understand. That's nothing.
You're playing the only pass that the other team's letting you have.
That's what I'm saying. So you look at possession, but I would say stats are stats, but at the same time, you can look at stats to say why, like you say about possession, is you can keep the ball at the back, go side to side, side to side. But if you don't make any progressive passes, what's that? But then if you look at the stats or you look at a coach who looks at stats and it's like, right, okay, we made 10 side-to-side passes, but how many ball splitting passes did we make? How many chances did we create in the final third? How many chances did we make from long range? How many chances did you create in this final third? How many chances did we, from back to front, did we create? So that's the stats I understand and I look at. When I say stats are stats, I just say stats is like possession. You can have 60% of possession, the other team has 40, and like, well, hold on a minute, it doesn't matter, they didn't go nowhere, but we still won 3-0. So that's why I say stats are stats, but stats are good because it's another way of looking at the game. It's another way of breaking an opponent down. It's another way of defending against opponent. If you see Trinidad, they play a lot through centrally. You look, if Hackshaw plays a lot of long passes to Alvin Jones, you look at the stats of how many passes he made to Alvin in that game, how many runs Alvin made during that time. That's where stats come in handy. And that's when then you look at them, right, how do we stop that? So that's why I understand that stats are there. And I do live by stats, yes. But certain stats, I think, well, no, they're just a load of nonsense.
So the other game in the group was an interesting one, right? The USA, I feel like there's a lot of drama around Team USA right now with the Berhalter appointment.
They have to win.
Yeah. And they haven't brought their best players and who's coaching them and all this. But they go a goal down to Jamaica. I didn't watch the game. I'm just talking through the chain of events. A header from Damian Lowe of the Philadelphia Union. And then, Leon Bailey gets a 29th.
It should have been 2-0. The US should have been 2-0 and they would have lost that game. If they would have gone 2-0, they would have lost that. They would not have come back. They would have lost that.
I agree. I can't imagine they come back from 2-0 down.
No, they would have lost. They would have lost.
Team's good, man. But then they rescue a point with an 88th minute goal from Brandon Vasquez, who we've covered before, the Cincinnati forward. I'm actually a big, big fan of him. So they're on a point each. So we go into the second game here. Trinidad, confident, 3-0 win. 3 points in the bag, albeit against a lesser opponent than the USA on paper. Jamaica coming in. They frustrated? Is it like we should have went 2-0 up? We should have won. We lost a point in the last minute. Or are they happy with a point against the fellow, big gun, so to speak.
No, they're happy with a point against the US. I think every nation's happy in the Gold Cup to get a point, but they will be mad and kicking themselves that they didn't win 2-0 or they didn't take this game. They had their game won, barring a penalty miss, but they had that game. They could have won that. And that would have put them in a driving seat and would have put, for sure, the US on the back foot. And I feel if US would have lost that game, that would have put them under the most amount of pressure. And how would they have coped under that pressure? Okay, they might have been St. Kitts, but then going into the last game against Trinidad, knowing you have to win, it's not a comfortable environment. How would the fans react to that? How would the media react to that if the US were to go like that? It wouldn't be a comfortable camp. Let's just say it. But Jamaica have got some good players. They've got some good individuals. For me, it's just how they're going to gel as a team. They've got the individuals, but how are they going to gel as a team? Trinidad have got individuals, but they can gel as a team and as a squad.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you why I think Trinidad's got a real shot here. My prediction, and I shouldn't make a prediction because all that's going to happen is it's going to get screenshotted if I'm wrong. But my prediction is they scrap to a 0-0 here. And the reason I think that is Bailey and Antonio, outstanding pair of forwards there. But with Hackshaw in front of the centre-backs, I feel like we got a shot. So the question is, can the Trinidad fullbacks hold up in their 1v1s? Now, it's tough.
Yeah.
And Bobby Reid on the wings, from what I understand. Haven't watched the game yet, but I'm reading the team sheet. But if they can, I don't think Jamaica have great fullbacks. I don't think their fullbacks are the level of some of the players in the team. I do believe Trinidad have excellent wingers. And I do believe Trinidad have a unity and a discipline and a backbone and an ability to dig in and defend with some shape and discipline throughout the game here. So I'm going to say they get a point out of this and make round 3 really interesting at the group stage. What do you think?
I think Trinidad will beat them. I feel like they're going to have the upper hand. They're going to have the confidence. And knowing the Trinidad players, they're going to be up for this. I know being part of it and knowing that, that's the rivals. Trinidad and Jamaica is a huge rivalry. Do the players that aren't local players or players that are coming from, say, the Premier League or around Europe know how big the rivalry is? I don't think so. The Trinidad players, a lot have been local boys, grew up from the youth system, knowing that they got to beat Jamaica. That's a huge game for them. If they beat Jamaica, it's huge in Trinidad. You beat Jamaica in football, it's huge. So no, I know for sure that they'll be up for it, and I feel that Trinidad will get a victory. I'm positive that they'll get a victory. I hope I'm not wrong, but I feel I can see them getting a victory in this game.
Up the Soccer Warriors.
There you go.
That's a wrap for round 1. Any final thoughts before we go?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing what Jamaica do against Trinidad. How they're going to line up. Are they going to go attacking? Are they going to go defensive? How are they going to play? And for me, are Trinidad going to play the same players? Are they going to play the same team? And what's the surface going to be like? If it's going to be a completely different surface, we've got a different game on our hands. Different surface, different field, different atmosphere. Where is the game anyway? Where's the game?
I have not checked, but I am going to confidently predict that it is a better surface, even if it's in my backyard.
Let me check where the game is now. Oh, St. Louis. Oh,
St. Louis. Midwest.
Decent little stadium there, decent little atmosphere. I'm telling you, if the field is a lot better than it was in Miami, we'll see some of these players. Will Telfer play? I'm not sure, probably, but I would like to see him actually dominate in this game. I know what he can do. I've seen him play many times. I know what he can do. So it'd be great to see him perform well.
Mine was Ovre.
Ovre?
Yeah. Who's your man of the match from game 1?
Man of the match. I would say Hackshaw. I'd say Hackshaw. I would say 2 assists, holding midfield, done his job, played well, dominated his area, dominated people around him, got on the ball, done what he needed to do. I would say him for sure.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks for coming on, mate. Looking forward to covering
the next one. It's tomorrow night, isn't it?
Jamaica
night time
for Trinidad, which we will have out on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I'll watch that tomorrow night.
All right. Thanks,
No
fellas.
worries, mate. Cheers. See you.